Good morning, sir. Good morning, everyone. We are the Call of Duty of 12 BSA1, and we are here to discuss our chosen topic, emotivism, the emotive theory of ethics. I'm ALIYAH Vidal. First up, let us discuss what is the definition of emotivism. So, what is emotivism? Emotivism is a view that moral judgment do not function as a statement of fact, but rather as expression of the speaker or writer's feelings. It is a metaethical view that claims that ethical sentences do not express proposition but emotional attitudes. In simpler terms, it is a moral theory that suggests that when we say something is wrong, we are merely expressing our emotional reaction to the certain set of events or facts. Emotivism is also a theory that claims that moral language or judgments are first, neither true or false, second, express our emotion, and third, try to influence others to agree with us. So let's try to look at the examples that we have on the presentation. First example, the Earth is larger than Jupiter. The statement itself is a declarative statement that is either true or false. And then the second one, we have woohoo, ouch. Both are exclamatory statements that are neither true nor false. And both of the statements have no cognitive context. Next up, we have the classification of emotivism that will be discussed by KRISTINE ESTAYO. ESTAYO.
Before I start, I would like to introduce myself. My name is KRISTINE ESTAYO, and I was assigned to discuss the classification of emotivism. The term emotivism refers to a theory about moral judgments, sentences, words, and speech acts. Strictly speaking, emotivism is the name of only the earliest version of ethical non-cognitivism, also known as expressivism and non-descriptivism. Emotivism theory is characterized as a form of non-cognitivism. Why? Because it interprets ethical judgments as not stating anything that can be true or false. Classical non-cognitivist theories maintain that moral judgment and speech acts function primarily to express and influence states of mind or attitudes rather than to describe, report, or represent facts, which they do only secondarily, if at all, because it is just the same as what emotivism theory claims about moral language and judgments.
Good day everyone, I'm RIKAELA CAMARA and I'm here to present to you the famous thinkers of emotivism. Emotivism was expounded by Alfred Jules Ayer in Language, Truth, and Logic and developed by Charles Stevenson in Ethics and Language. Now we have here the pictures of Alfred Jules Ayer and Charles Stevenson. A.J. Ayer. Emotivism is one version of non-cognitivism. The emotivism espoused by Ayer in Language, Truth, and Logic was supported by his belief in the distinction between fact and value. Given he thought that there were no moral facts to be known, there could be no verification of such facts, and so moral utterances could have no cognitive significance. For A.J. Ayer, moral judgment can neither be true or false because it cannot be observed empirically. According to him, stealing, for example, cannot be proven as bad or morally bad because it cannot be observed or there's no proof that stealing is said to be bad. Given the connection between judgment and motivation, and the connection between motivation and feelings, it is just natural for us to see moral utterances as just an expression of our feelings or just emoting. Now the next one is C.L. Stevenson or Charles Leslie Stevenson. Stevenson holds that moral judgments or thoughts are essentially constituted, at least in part, by affective attitudes, feelings, or interests, those mental states whose general character is to be for or against something. Strong emotivism refers to this metaphysical view of moral thought. So, another famous thinker of emotivism is C.L. Stevenson. We can see that C.L. Stevenson is heavily anchored on the boo and hurrah theory of emotivism, wherein if a person who sees something, for example, murdering, if he is against murdering, then he probably would say boo murder. And if he is for murdering, he will probably say hurrah murdering. The same is with giving with to charity, giving help to charity. If the person is for giving the charity, then he would say hurrah for charity. And if the person is against giving to the charity, then he would probably say boo charity.
My name is CHERRIE ASTRERO, and this is the opponent of emotivism theory. However, a moral philosopher, Richard Brand, observes that it is possible to be emotionally influenced by considerations that are morally irrelevant. He argues that emotivism cannot accommodate the distinction between what is morally relevant and morally irrelevant. Brand claims the function of the statement is not to express the person's attitude, but to direct it. So in this objection, he justifies that emotivism exhibits a typical non-cognitivist strategy. He insists that we can meaningfully distinguish between morally relevant and irrelevant. It influences on people's attitudes, but when we do so, we are making further moral judgments.
Before I start, I would like to introduce myself. I am DANICA Sophia de Guzman, and I was assigned to report about the criticisms of the emotivism theory. So, emotivism has become unpopular with philosophers because the theory that led the emotivists to think that moral statements were meaningless has fallen from favor. Less technically, if expressing moral judgment is really no more than expressing one's personal opinion, then there doesn't seem any useful basis for arguing about moral judgments. In practical terms, emotivism falls down because it isn't very satisfying. That even most philosophers think the moral statements are more than just expressions of feelings. Then, non-philosophers also think that there is more to ethics than just the expression of an attitude or an attempt to influence behavior. This statement means that they want a better explanation and foundation for shared standards of morality than emotivisms can provide.
I am Daisy Lopez and I'm going to discuss the criticism of emotivism. According to Jeffrey Warnock, a philosopher and vice-chancellor of Oxford University, an unappealing feature of emotivism is that it seems absorbed to reduce morality to emotions. It seems absorbed as first, it is common feature of moral debate that we don't evaluate a moral judgment by its emotional force but the reasons that can be given in its support. And morality cannot be reduced to emotions as our emotions and moral judgment are not always in sync. In fact, our emotions are much more prone to change than our morals. This is an unappealing feature of emotivism and it doesn't seem correct to reduce morality to emotions.
So before I start, I would like to introduce myself. I am RHAIDA BALON and I am here with you to discuss the benefits of emotivism. One appealing feature of emotivism is that it may promote a tolerant and accepting attitude towards moral diversity. Hence, according to emotivism, as moral judgment are nothing more than pure expressions of feeling. No one has the right to say their morality is true and another's is false. So that means that one must simply accept moral diversity in musical and culinary taste. This is an appealing feature of emotivism as it may promote social harmony. The second one is the importance of each individual's moral feelings is stressed. This statement tells that the subjective nature of emotivism ensures that all opinions are equally valid.
I'm KRISTINE CABLAYAN and I'm going to discuss the applications of Emotivism's theory. In Emotivisms, a moral statement isn't literally a statement about the speaker's feelings on the topic, but expresses those feelings with emotive force. For instance, in taking of human life, when we say murder is wrong, we're not stating a fact. Rather, we are expressing our opposition to murder. Then, in abortion, when we say abortion is wrong, we aren't implying whether it is right or wrong. Rather, it is an assertion about the decision that abortion is bad. Then, lastly, in stealing, when we say you acted unjustly in stealing that money, we are not implying anything more than you stole that money.
I am Daisy Lopez and I'm going to discuss the evaluation. Emotivism seems to be reflective of human nature but is limited in that it merely tells us about that rather than what good is. It seems to define goodness as arbitrary, meaning that it has no value in ethical debates. It also ensures all opinions are equally valid because it gives importance about individuals' moral feelings. Emotivism taught that it was about more than just an expression of emotion, that the speaker is also trying to have an effect on the person they're talking to.
Here are some questions to reflect on emotivism. First, what does the theory of emotivism claims? Second, do you understand the strengths and weaknesses of emotivism? Third, do you see the dramatic effect it would have on ethics if emotivism were true? Fourth, what will happen to the world if people practice emotivism? And lastly, how does emotivism differ from subjectivism?